for you. Thank you. I guess I get to start down there, but I'll be up here. I'm not on the program.
Utah Business and the National Association of Corporate Directors, Utah Chapter, are pleased to present the 2023 Outstanding Directors Awards, honoring the seasoned leaders helping take Utah organizations to the next level. Today's event is sponsored by Digital Bytes Production and Design, Gardner Group, Web, Kickstart Seed Fund, Pack Size, and Zions Bank. And now, please welcome your Master of Ceremonies, KSL's Senior News Correspondent, Carol Makita.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Utah Business and the National Association of Corporate Directors, Utah Chapter Outstanding Directors Award Luncheon. Congratulations to our 2023 Outstanding Director honorees. It's wonderful to see all of you. Please come in, take a seat. We're pleased to have you join us in this celebration. We would like all of our guests, to start your luncheon service now, and we will be back with the presentation in about 10 minutes. Enjoy. Good afternoon once again. Please continue enjoying your lunch while we proceed with the program. Today we're recognizing 5 outstanding leaders whose mentorship, whose integrity, whose governance have taken their organizations to the next level. We are here to honor those who've served as board members throughout our state, contributing their time, their energy, and expertise so that corporations, governments, and nonprofits can benefit from the talents they've employed throughout their careers. The directors being honored today come from public and private companies, nonprofit and venture capital boards. During today's program, we're going to have the opportunity to hear from these 5 individuals who serve on some of our state's most prestigious boards, providing fiduciary oversight and guiding them toward long-term success. On behalf of NACD Utah and Utah Business, thank you to the sponsors of this year's awards luncheon: Digital Bytes Production and Design, Web, the Gardner Group, Kickstart Seed Fund, Pack Size, and Zions Bank. We greatly appreciate all of the support. We could not do this without you. Utah Business, yes, that's appropriate. Utah Business fosters connection, insight, and recognition for Utah's thriving professional community through its events, magazine, and website, highlighting the ideas, innovations, and people behind Utah business success stories. Utah Business is all in on Utah and can't wait to tell your stories. Please welcome now Editor-in-Chief of Utah Business, Melanie Jones.
Thank you, Carol. Good afternoon. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome you all to NACD Utah and Utah Business's Outstanding Directors Awards. We are thrilled to honor these 5 remarkable individuals, but before we do, I want to offer my sincere thanks to Carol Makita for taking time out of her busy schedule at KSL News to be here with us today. We appreciate Carol so much. She's always game to help us with these events, and she's a real pro. I want to thank also to the NACD Utah chapter who provided collaboration on today's event. Thank you also to Burke Olson, publisher of Utah Business and Deseret News, who joins NACD on stage today to present these awards. Finally, I'd also like to thank our sponsors that allow us the opportunity to recognize these incredible honorees today. We appreciate your support. We are here this afternoon to recognize and honor those who have served as board members throughout our state. And I think it's appropriate that that's how we describe the position, as service, because these individuals contribute their time, energy, and expertise so that corporations, governments, nonprofits alike can benefit from the talents they have employed throughout their careers. Like a mentor, these honorees guide their organization towards success while helping them avoid the many pitfalls that could ensnare them, in some cases without receiving any kind of recompense in return. For that, and for many other services besides, these individuals are truly deserving of our honor and recognition. Thank you for coming today and for celebrating these individuals with us. We hope that as we listen to their stories, a new generation of board members might be waiting in the wings, ready to make their own impact on the companies and organizations that inspire them, continuing the legacy of service that today's outstanding directors exemplify. Thank you, and congratulations to you all.
The National Association of Corporate Directors is the recognized authority for leading boardroom practices. With more than 23,000 members, 40 years of governance experience, and a vast portfolio of director resources, NACD strives to empower directors and transform boards. I'm pleased to introduce to you now Deborah Bale.
Thanks so much, Carol. It is such a pleasure to be here with all of you today to celebrate our outstanding directors. and I am delighted to be able to represent the Utah chapter of NACD. I am a last-minute pinch hitter for our board chair, Val Ovison. Val had shoulder surgery yesterday and was way overly optimistic that he would be here today. And so I am happy to fill in for him. I am the immediate past chair of the NACD board. NACD is proud to partner with Utah Business to recognize some of our area's most accomplished corporate directors. We have a terrific group of honorees this year. As Carol mentioned in her introduction, NACD is the leading authority for improving board performance in the United States, with more than 23,000 members across the country. NACD has been setting a high standard for responsible board leadership for more than 40 years. We ensure that today's directors are well prepared for tomorrow's challenges. The Utah chapter was organized in 2003 and is one of 22 chapters across the country. Our chapter's mission is to advance board performance by providing our local board members with practical tools that deliver world-class education, leading-edge research, and a growing network of peer directors. The primary job of a board member is to look out for the best interests of the corporation, whether it be public, private, or nonprofit, and to represent the owners or the stakeholders. The function of a board has taken on much greater significance and a more important role in recent years. Boards are now at the forefront in today's business climate, which places much greater emphasis on accountability, whether it's in the creation of a sustainable long-term direction, effective succession planning, shareholder activism, or mergers and acquisitions. Although boards make leadership decisions based on what is in the best collective interests of the corporation, the lifeblood of board excellence is the individual. The individual director's personal integrity, capabilities, intellectual curiosity, emotional intelligence, and ability to contribute in a constructive and collaborative way is what makes good boards great. In today's business environment, the best directors are smart, savvy, and experienced. They are the top-tier leaders who understand the critical role that they play and are willing to make tough decisions. I'd like to take a moment now to recognize the members of our NACD Utah chapter board. They are very strong business leaders in their own right who all have the qualities of excellent directors. Many of them are here with us today, so as I call your name, please stand. Ivy Estabrook, Diana George, Robert Gross, Ted Hack, Spence Houle, Jennifer Jolly Johnston, Sarah Jones, Ron Judd, Peggy Larson, thank you, Mark Lucas, Val Ovison, Ron Pullman, Innocent Shumba, Sarah Starkey, Dan Stevenson, and Rocio Summers. A big thank you to all of you very much. A big thank you today to our partner, Utah Business, as well as to the other sponsors of today's event. A very special shout out to Peggy Larson, who chaired our NACD Awards Committee. Peggy did an amazing job. I also want to recognize Melanie Jones, Lynette Cloward, and the rest of the team at Utah Business, their publisher, Burke Olson, as well as NACD's Executive Director, Heather May, for all of their hard work in making today's luncheon possible. Please stand so we can thank you. Stand. Come on, come on. Thanks to all of you. As I said in the beginning, we have an amazing group of honorees this year. They represent the highest ideals in business and in board performance. They have all worked hard to enrich their businesses, the boards they represent, and our community. Our 2023 outstanding directors are Kim Gardner for Lifetime Achievement, Lynn Blyle, who represents public companies, Gavin Christensen, who represents venture capitalists, Henko Kiesner, representing private companies, and finally, Sean Newell, representing the nonprofit community. Peggy Larson, the chair of our awards committee, and Burke Olson will help me to present the awards to our recipients today. Thank you to all of you for being here, and thank you to all of our recipients for everything that you've done to make our community a better place.
Deborah may have been filling in today, but I believe, as all of you know, she's a very important woman in this community. And I failed to tell you enough about her. Let me just do that. This is a woman I have admired for a long time. During a 40-year career, she has been a professional in the nonprofit sector, served as president and CEO of United Way of Salt Lake for 16 years, CEO for the Greater Salt Lake Area chapter of the American Red Cross for 3 years, and on the staff of the Salt Lake Area Chamber of Commerce for 20 years, where she rose to the position of Chief Operating Officer. Deborah currently does consulting work in the areas of executive coaching, professional development, organizational management, and change strategy. And she is the chair of the board of directors of Alta Bank, as well as serving on several nonprofit boards. Deborah has served on more than 25 corporate and nonprofit boards and has been recognized with more than 20 awards. Ladies and gentlemen, Deborah Bale. We're now pleased to move to the recognition part of today's program. We will learn now more about these remarkable honorees. Our first honoree that we'd like to recognize this afternoon is our honoree in the public company category. Please turn your attention to the video screens.
The most rewarding thing for me is making a difference, and specifically feeling that as a board member, I'm able to help shape the strategic direction of the company, the priorities, the operating performance, and also the organization and culture and leadership of the organization. And I really enjoy that aspect of board service. I guess the other thing that I didn't appreciate, but now appreciate almost 9 years into my second career, if you will, in board service, is the ability to learn and grow from the interaction with my fellow board colleagues and also with the leadership team. And I really enjoy that and feel like I have continued my professional growth and development rather than board service being something I just decided to do in my retirement. The thing that I'm really most excited about is driving innovation. On the Alcon board, for example, are innovators and the leaders in eye care. And in Sonova, another one of the boards that I'm on, it's all about the hearing care solutions. So what gets me very excited is playing a small role as a board member in helping to drive the company through new and better solutions that take care of very important problems. And as well, being able to drive better access to some of those services. So doing my own small part in providing better, more innovative healthcare for the world.
Please give a warm welcome now to board member of Stericycle, Kay Priestley.
Thank you, and I am very pleased today, and it's a great honor for me to introduce Lynn at this event today. And I also want to share with you her many accomplishments because she is, I was listening to what Deborah was saying about the attributes of a good board member or a great board member. And I've served on the Stericycle board with Lynn for over 5 years, and she exemplifies all of those characteristics. Lynn relocated to Utah 10 years ago with her family when she took an early retirement from a very successful 26-year career with McKinsey & Company as a senior partner leading the West Coast healthcare practice based in Southern California. She was drawn to the outdoor lifestyle of Utah as an avid skier and hiker, as well as the fantastic healthcare, spirit of philanthropy, and cultural offerings that this state has to offer. And the move also allowed her son, who was 12, to pursue his love for ski racing and classical music while getting a great education. At that time, Lynn decided to use her skills to pursue her second career, as she referred to further her professional development, but also she decided to join not only public companies but nonprofits as well to stay engaged and further her development, as also do her part in adding much more diversity to corporate governance and also give back to the new community she moved to. Over the last decade, Lynn has served on a total of 6 public company boards, spanning many aspects of the healthcare industry, 2 of which have been sold, Auspex Pharmaceuticals and DST Systems. Currently, her public company board portfolio includes Stericycle, where I have worked with her, Alcon, a leader in eye care, Sonova Holdings, a leader in hearing aids and cochlear implants, and Amicus Therapeutics, a biotech leader in rare and orphan diseases. I have firsthand experience seeing Lynn in action at the board and appreciate her commitment, her ability to dig deep and ask the right questions and challenge the team for better performance. Lynn faced challenges at the time, and Lynn was a leader in actively reconstituting the board and the management team to lead the company in the future. She chaired the Nominating and Governance Committee and worked very closely with our board chairman, reaching out to shareholders, meeting with them, and making significant changes in management and board refreshment. And her leadership was invaluable to the company at that time. We were very fortunate to have her, and her dedication and drive were critical for those changes. In addition to her public company board service, she has brought her expertise to nonprofit governance, serving on the Intermountain Park City Hospital Community Board for 8 years, where she now chairs the newly combined Intermountain Wasatch Back Hospitals Board, which is a merger of the Park City and Heber Valley Hospital boards. She's also served on the Foundation Board for U.S. Ski and Snowboard, the Board of Utah Youth Orchestras and Ensembles, and the Advisory Board of Bright Futures, which is a Park City organization focused on helping first-generation high school students. In fact, she and her husband, Rick, have formed a scholarship for first-generation college students. And Rick also has a second career now. He's a math teacher in his second career, or retirement career, and he serves on the board of the People's Health Clinic. So I'm very proud to call Lynn not only a business associate, but a friend. Her impact has been so positive and significant, not only on public boards, but on our entire community.
That would not be a good thing to go flying across the stage, right? Thank you very much, Kay, and not only for your kind words, but most importantly for pushing me to be a more effective
board colleague, along with many of my other fellow colleagues sort of across the way. When I first started on this board service journey a decade ago, I never thought that I would find it as rewarding and fulfilling, and as I said in my video, a real source of professional growth and rejuvenation. And I'm so glad that I took that step, that bold step 10 years ago to do this. I guess as a longtime consultant and advisor to CEOs and boards for many, many years, I perhaps egotistically thought, oh, I'll be a great board member. Well, I had a lot to learn. And I learned over the past decade, through various steps, what really it takes for good board governance and what it means to be a really good board director. And happy to report I'm still learning and growing. And a big thank you and shout out to all of my board colleagues across various boards, to the many CEOs and leadership teams that have pushed and challenged me, and to also forums and programs that NACD, among sort of others, sort of offer. So thank you very much, because all of that has made me grow and develop and really enjoy this next career. I have seen a lot in my board career so far. Some great things, some not so fun things, like activists and FCPA investigations and sort of other things. But I would say the thing that I'm most proud of really comes down to the people aspect. I think one of the most important things one does as part of a board is helping, yes, you always hear the hire and fire the CEO, but the ability to really shape the top team and also with it to shape the board that fundamentally impacts the overall culture of the organization. I've personally had the chance to be part of 3 different CEO transitions and top team transitions, and as Kay sort of mentioned, to play a significant role in board evolution and board refreshment. And so I have 2 call-outs sort of in parting here. One, and I don't think I have to tell this group sort of anything about this necessarily, but one part and something I feel passionately about is board and top team refreshment and the importance of diversity. And it's never too soon. And so, you know, that's my call to action, to sort of be bold, take those steps before you sort of think you really need to do it. Because that's, I've seen the mark of great leaders and diversity and what it really brings to many organizations. The second is I have had the opportunity and the privilege of bringing what I've learned in the corporate governance arena to the nonprofit arena. And if I have done my own small part to kind of elevate the governance of, in the area I feel passionate about, specifically in healthcare and education. So my other call out to all of you is utilize those skills. We have fantastic nonprofit entities in this state, and the ability to elevate governance and overall leadership, go for it. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I started my career at a venture firm here locally and really learned the ropes and fell in love with doing venture capital in Utah and in the West. And then the way that was different from doing venture capital on the coast. It was much more entrepreneurial. I went away to business school in Chicago, and when I came back, I partnered with that firm to start my own fund called Kickstart. And the vision of Kickstart was that entrepreneurs in Utah and in the surrounding states, Colorado and others, New Mexico, Arizona, should have their own pre-seed and seed fund. You know, Kickstart had pretty humble beginnings. The first one was only $4 million and raised in the Great Recession, but that vision is really what I fell in love with and what has helped propel Kickstart to be that source of capital for the earliest entrepreneurs. And so we kind of grew up alongside the ecosystem and always took building the ecosystem as part of our mandate in addition to building a fund. My passion is still with the earliest stages of companies, and I love joining boards when no one cares about the company at all, which is how startups are in the very early days, because they just haven't proven that anyone should care. And so I love how creative that is at that time, how anything's possible and nothing's possible. There's just a lot of just great discussion and energy as you work to decide and then choose what to go after.
Please welcome to the stage from Kickstart Seed Fund, General Partner Dalton Wright.
All right, thank you. Oh, a great spot to put that. So this really is an honor for me to be able to introduce Gavin. I've worked with Gavin since 2008, back when we were trying to get Fund 1 going, and I've had the experience of seeing him grow as a leader and really define himself as the founder of the seed stage category in Utah. He is the father of seed stage capital in Utah, and we're all better off as an ecosystem for the work that he's done to make it possible for entrepreneurs to raise capital here. So it's really no secret that Utah is a booming tech ecosystem. It wasn't always that way, of course, but lately it's just been more evident than ever that this is an ongoing source of some of the greatest innovators in the country, really, and in the world. And we're going to continue to invest in those. And, there's been a lot of stuff that's been written about ecosystems. This is a word that gets used probably too much, talking about startup ecosystems. But it incorporates all the different factors that flow into a vibrant economy where people can dream big and take chances and go launch their businesses. And people have tried to understand what makes for an ecosystem. What are those elements? Why does one city thrive while another city languishes? Why did Utah become Utah, one of the top software as a service destinations in the entire world? How did this happen? And a lot could be said about that, but I think Gavin's been part of that. I think Kickstart's been part of that. As we talk about, these ecosystems, Paul Graham, one of the founders of Y Combinator, one of the most successful accelerators ever, he kind of boils the ecosystem down to two ingredients, and he's an essayist and very entertaining, but he says, listen, you can talk about all those programs and all those things that you need, the universities and the government support and on, but what you really need is a lot of nerds and rich people who want to hang out with these nerds. And so, Gavin has raised almost $500 million over the past several years for these entrepreneurs. He's sat on their boards, he's fought for them, he's acted as a conduit between the technologists of this ecosystem and the capital in the ecosystem. And so I think he's filling that role as a pillar of the ecosystem. And I would say also, another evidence that he's formed a bridge between the nerds and the capital in the ecosystem, that he's as equally comfortable on a tennis court with a wealthy investor as he is in a dark room playing Dungeons and Dragons with a bunch of neckbeards. So, he's natural in any environment. So, another writer talking about ecosystems, Brad Feld, very successful investor. He says another element that he dives into in his analysis of successful ecosystems is it entrepreneur-led, and are there people who are willing to bet their entire careers on that ecosystem? So is it entrepreneur-led, and are people putting deep, deep roots down? Do they really care, or are they going to hit a home run and then go buy the home in Hawaii or whatever? And I would say I've seen Gavin make his commitment to this state. He wants Kickstart to outlive him. He wants this to be an institution that supports entrepreneurs for generations. And this is a long-term commitment that he's made to Utah. He loves the state deeply, and a lot of the efforts that he's made to build this ecosystem are the fruits of that love that he has for this state. And one other, item that I'd kind of point to that illustrates his willingness to kind of put those roots deep. Gavin has recently made the decision that he's going to turn his Airstream trailer, his camper, into the backyard office. So the wheels are coming off, and all roads lead back to Utah anyway. The pandemic changed a lot of things, including remote work from a trailer. But I think about Gavin going all in on Utah. One of the reasons why he's a pillar of the ecosystem. I think that the fact that he's invested in more startups than anybody else in the state is one of the reasons why he's a pillar of this ecosystem. But I think that the thing that makes him effective and why he's been able to do all those things is fundamentally how he treats the people that he works with. And I was able to read the comments from all the members of the team that were surveyed about Gavin when this award was being presented, and we were notified about it. And a lot of things that I read were exactly what I experienced as a young person starting my career back in 2008 working with Gavin. And I think about, any young person, back then I was inexperienced, I was unsure of myself, I didn't even know what place I had in this world in a lot of ways. And Gavin helped me see in myself what I could become. And I think that he does that for founders, he does that for the teams that he works with. It's hard to believe when you don't have the evidence yet, when you don't have the results that you want to see. You can't point to that. Where does that belief in self and belief in your team come from? And sometimes it comes from somebody like Gavin who just is willing to stand next to you and say, I believe in you and we're going to make this. I love the steadiness. I love the compassion. I love the desire to win. None of this kindness towards individuals in any way comes at the cost of that competitive spirit that drives him. It's great to be on a team with somebody who wants to win so deeply, but then when it's all said and done, we can step back and realize, why are we even playing the game in the first place? And the reason why Gavin's playing the game is a lot of people in the room, the people at the table, his family. I've seen how Gavin's love for his family animates his efforts in his work. It's taught me that, you don't have to sacrifice your family to be successful. In fact, your love for your family can be a driver of your success. I think that is for him as well. So it's with a lot of love that I make this introduction. Tons of gratitude for Gavin. A lot of optimism for the future of this state. Much love for the entrepreneurs that we've been able to back, and congrats to all the award winners. And with that, I give you Gavin Christensen.
Well, that's not fair. It's got me choked up to start. Not a great start here. As I was sitting there thinking about hearing this great stuff, I'm sure anyone who gets these, you're kind of like, yeah, I feel like that's mostly true. That might have been a little bit of a stretch. It's great, but it's great to hear. But you realize, hey, in adult life, there's really no such thing as an individual awards. There's only team awards. And today, I tried to invite some really important members of my team. My siblings, half my siblings are here, my parents are here, my family, my wife and my daughter Elsa, my son Soren's out, other adventures right now, so he couldn't make it. But I think it's important to recognize in life we have these people that sacrifice a lot for us. And as you heard a little bit about the Kickstart story, you heard a little about the Kickstart team. None of this is possible as an individual effort. People really pay a price. There's a price to be paid for entrepreneurship, and it's real, and it's a lot of volume, and I'm so grateful that my family stuck with me during a lot of lean times when I still had a lot of belief that Utah and these companies could be great, but it was a little lonely. There wasn't a lot of fellow travelers or believers, and that's just sort of what it's like to try to do something that's different. I always tell people, they're like, how does it feel? Kickstart's working and you've raised all this money and all these great startups. And I'm always like, yeah, I mainly just feel relieved, honestly. I guess I made a lot of promises and I had a lot of belief for a lot of years. And now finally it's sort of happening, which is so great because it doesn't always play out that way. And so I just feel an incredible amount of gratitude and recognize there's a certain amount of luck in all this. And like I said, tons of gratitude to my family and the Kickstart team who's here, and recognize that this award and others like it are for all of us, because we win or we lose as a team, and that's just how it goes in life. On that subject, I thought maybe I'd just share a few thoughts because we're talking about board members today, and we're talking about directorships, and a few things I've learned. One of the great blessings of my career is I joined a venture firm early, and I've been doing venture capital for 20 years. I know I don't look maybe that old, but 20 years of this and then 15 plus of Kickstart. And I had the great virtue of having a bunch of partners at that firm that just threw a bunch of boards at me way before I should have been on boards. Had no business being on boards. Were like, hey, here, Gavin, take this broken company. How about this company's messed up? Take that one. And so I got a lot of reps in early, which was amazing. And I learned some, and I think it's important for the audience that maybe doesn't know a ton about boards to recognize that when we're talking about pre-seed and seed company boards, the role is fundamentally different. I think Dalton crafted it well, which is so much is about potential. And there's a governance role, but there's just a whole role of saying, hey, let us sit with you and help you visualize what this company can become and what this business can, and and what you personally can become. You as the leader, the CEO, the founder. We have some examples of the companies we invested in here today, where I remember when one of those individuals, who's the founder of that company, coded up a really cool productivity tool over the weekend while I was at BYU, and now this is a multi-billion-dollar company here in Utah that employs 1,000 people. And there's a whole journey for a company to get there, and there's a whole journey for an individual to get there. And so much of what keeps me interested in this business after this many years and this many companies, 200 companies, let's say, is that human drama of transformation, of rebirth, of failure, and of perseverance through the gritty times that it takes to do something special. And so my advice for future board members and some thoughts are so much about understanding the role is understanding that actually it's not about you. You're not, if you're doing the right job as a board member, as an investor, you shouldn't be in the headlines, right? It's about those dreamers, those visionaries that are building something special. You're there to help them scale as individuals, for them to see their strengths and weaknesses and understand how to supplement and complement those, and help them have the humility and the perspective to change who they are and grow with the company. And that can be so hard. But it's so valuable to have someone like that. At Kickstart, one of our mantras is we want to see people win across the board. We want to see companies succeed. We want to see people succeed, a whole team succeed along with that, and we want to see families succeed along the way. So, a few other thoughts I had was, in that role of investor. So your first job is do no harm. And that has a lot to do with the humility of it, which is like, listen. Listening is one of those rare skills, especially we find with very successful people. I find that the most interesting people for me to work with at this stage of my career are people who are relentless learners, who are constantly listening and learning, always curious, willing to be always an amateur, right? Willing to look stupid, willing to take a risk, and those are the kind of people that keep companies and boards vital and growing and competitive, in my experience. And so I don't want to give you too many thoughts here. I've got lots of thoughts about boards, but I just want to say thank you to the NACD and Utah Business and all those who put this on, and just another thank you to the Kickstart team and all the sacrifices they've made over the years. And I'm so excited for the impact that Kickstart and other early investors are going to have in this community. What's here is special, and it's durable, and it will keep growing as long as we don't take it for granted and we keep investing in the future. And thank you. That's it for me. Thanks.
I enjoy the aspect of disruption. I mean, deep in my heart, I'm a disruptor, and that has permeated any role that I've ever had. And now that I'm sitting in multiple director roles, I want to make sure that I can continue to live out my passion and be disruptive and helping actually the CEO and the leadership team to live out their disruptive aspirations as they are leading and building their businesses. The advice I would give to my younger self is that life is short, every decision matters, and that the most productive teams are actually inclusive, and as a result of inclusivity, they are diverse. And diverse teams deliver more growth, more profitability, and more sustainability. If I was my younger self, I would realize that from day one. I think the single most important thing that I have learned is that we only have one planet, that we need to be sustainable, that a circular economy is one of the imperatives, and I have lived this principle out throughout every step of my career, whether it is being a founder, an entrepreneur, or president or CEO, and now even a director. I think that is the single most important imperative for all of us. If I could have my dream board seat, it actually might be with one of the most polluting companies in the world, because I might have the biggest impact there to turn around and to completely disrupt an incumbent business like this and go from polluting to clean and sustainable. That actually could be pretty cool.
Please welcome now Kellen Fry, Vice President with Pack Size, to the stage.
I want to take you on a journey for a minute to a small town in northwest Germany where Hanko grew up. He had exposure to the corrugated and packaging business through his father, and as he got older, he recognized an opportunity, and that opportunity was packages weren't perfectly sized for the products that were shipping in them. He saw this as an opportunity that later on in life, he would work to develop and acquire hardware and software technology that could solve this problem. He decided to start the business in Germany, and over time, he recognized there were some German challenges that were making it a little more difficult to move the business as he wanted to. Hanko believed in what we call and know the American dream, and he had the opportunity to live this out. His persistence, hope, and dedication took him and his wife, who co-founded the business, and their 3 little kids, put them on a ship, Queen Elizabeth II, to travel to America with these 3 little kids. I'm sure Hanko had a great time seeing the sights while his wife was below deck with a sick, ailing child from seasickness. Their experiences might be a little different, but they all took the time on the 7-day voyage to come to the deck at 4 a.m. as they sailed under the Verrazano Bridge through the New York harbor and past the Statue of Liberty. What an impact that must have been to think of how many of our forefathers went through the same journey. After they departed the boat, they went to Wall Street, where he looked at his kids and his family and he said, "We are going to play a role in the largest global economy." Over time, as Hanko started the business, it wasn't always easy. Hanko was known to go on sales calls where he'd show up with his suit coat, looking pristine, and go talk to the decision maker of the business. And then he would quickly go out the back door and put on his engineering clothes and go back in and install the solution and the technology. He has done every job in the company, including president and CEO, better than any other employee, and now as a board member has had an incredible impact on the direction that we're going as a business. The business now, fast forward 21 years since it was founded in 2002, and the influence that Hanko and his wife have had on it has taken us to heights that we'd never imagined. A small growing business is now over 800 employees doing business globally across 36 countries. Hanko has spoken to the United Nations about the impact of recycling and sustainability and the impact that right-sized packaging has. He's received multiple Entrepreneur of the Year awards, was recently recognized as the Utah Clean Air Person of the Year, and the most impressive thing to me is his ability to develop a culture. He knows people, he knows what it takes to drive them and encourage them and motivate them, and he knows people by their name and takes time out of his day to interact and understand the challenges of their job, to understand how he can have a better impact as a board member. Again, I think it's an incredible thing to recognize what the American dream is, someone that saw that opportunity and took it, and his hope, dedication, persistence, and his focus on sustainability will always be remembered and the impact it has had on our business. So with that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Hanko Kiesner.
Kellen, you are so kind. Thank you so much for the introduction. And by the way, I'm still wearing multiple outfits even today, as you see here. I will unveil that a little bit later. I'm profoundly humbled to receive this award and honored. And my first thought was, I have to decline this. I'm not yet an outstanding director. But then it occurred to me that this is not about me. This is about all of us. This is about the shared vision for a future that is based on sustainability and inclusiveness. And that is when I called Spencer and said, hey, Spencer, I do accept this award. In the complex ecosystem of global businesses, there's one common thread that binds all of us: our world. Climate change is no longer a remote concern. It is today's reality, and it does shape every decision that we make in our businesses. So for us directors, this is a binary choice. Either we can transition our businesses towards sustainability before it is too late, or we wait, in which case we will breach the point of no return. And that is a moral dilemma, because the answer to which will etch our legacy on this planet. So consider this: 71% of all industrial global CO2 emissions originate from just 100 businesses. The average size of the board for these 100 businesses is roughly around 9, which means that the majority vote of just 500 people has the power to shift the trajectory of this planet. Think about that. 500 people, 500 directors control all of our destiny. So this is a staggering responsibility, but it is also an amazing opportunity, because we directors, we hold the reins to transition our businesses towards a sustainable future. So being an outstanding director, that means standing up against groupthink. It also means that we understand that sustainability is not just a nice to have, it is a must have, and we must also be inclusive along the way. So who here in the audience consumes energy? Pretty much all of you. Who out of those of us who consume energy prefers to consume clean and sustainable energy? That looks like it's about 100% of us. You can ask the same question any audience in the world, and you will get the same answer. And what this tells us is that the markets for clean and sustainable products is endless. And still, incumbent directors will defend the status quo, even though the status quo has no place here today anymore. My journey began when I noticed that there is a connect in the packaging industry, as Kellen had pointed out. A simple observation that led me to gain a profound understanding of sustainability. We can make it to the moon, and we cannot make packaging that fits. That is just insane. So when my family and I, when we arrived here as immigrants from Germany, I decided that we will fix this problem, and we started Pack Size within a few weeks upon arriving here in Salt Lake City. And we just became a unicorn. How cool is that? Pack Size is one of the next unicorns here in Utah. So then I co-founded Leaders for Clean Air, and Kellen, you pointed that out as well, to promote sustainability right here in Utah, providing free EV charging stations to people who want to drive electric, with now more than 3,000 free EV charging stations installed and many more planned. And now my goal is to inspire all directors to make the same commitment as I have made. So my advice to every director in this world is, and before I give my advice, Deborah, I'm totally okay taking lessons with you and learning on governance and all of that. So here's my advice. Be true. And the second piece of advice is be a distraction. And that is where I'm okay to take more governance lessons. But here's why being true is so important. We as directors, we have to be true to our values that we believe in. But also be a distraction, because if we all become disruptive, then in the eyes of those who resist change, we may in fact change the trajectory of this planet and create a better future for the next generation. So be true and be a distraction. And by the way, Deborah, I'm talking about the good kind of distraction, right? The productive distraction, not the totally disruptive one. I'm talking about the good one here. So thank you, Utah Business. Thank you so incredibly much for this award and for giving me the platform to express my beliefs in sustainability and also inclusiveness. Because sustainability, inclusiveness, and profits, they can coexist. Thank you so much.
What I've enjoyed most about working with Utah businesses and boards here in the state of Utah is the collaboration that I've experienced. It is something that I don't think happens all over this country, but I think it's really a testament to the people that we have here in our state that are actually running our businesses, running our institutions, involved in our nonprofits. That really shows that collaboration, the understanding of collaboration, is critical to being able to make sure that action items take place. I can't put my finger on a common thread that pulls me towards working on certain boards. I believe that it's the energy behind the entity that I'm working for, the people behind the entity, and then just the opportunity to create change and invoke a wider viewpoint or lens from individuals so that we can do the best work possible. For me, the most groundbreaking thing in leadership is to be able to, being me, to be able to exist in some of the spaces and do the work that's necessary in a number of the spaces that I am involved in, to be received and heard and valued, as a contributing member of any board or any business that I've worked with is critical to me. And I think it's just astounding to be able to gain that feeling of belonging in the way that I have. The most rewarding thing about the work that I do is to be able to pull others up and to be able to get others involved in the same spaces that I'm involved in and to see them thrive as well.
Please give a warm welcome now to Sarah Jones from Inclusion Pro.
Good afternoon. It is such an honor to be able to introduce Sean Newell, who is a dear, dear friend of mine. About 5 years ago, I got a phone call. It was one of those 801 numbers, and I think it might have been before they said likely a spam call. So I ended up picking it up. And for those of you who know Sean, right, you have him on speed dial. You always answer the phone when Sean calls. And that was the start of a wonderful mentorship that has lasted ever since then. I really look to Sean to guide, to advise, to push me, right? Remember when we went to coffee and when Sean breaks bread with you and then he looks you in the eye and he asks you to do something a little uncomfortable, there's something about his ability to let you get uncomfortable and then do the right thing that will push you forward, but not just you, it will push the state forward somehow. So I'm not going to read his resume, because when I said, hey, Sean, will you send me your CV? It was like 5 pages long. I don't think there's been anybody in the state of Utah that has done more work in nonprofits and civics than Sean has. And I think similar to the issue that I had, people thought, oh, you do nonprofits full time. No, he was doing it on top of his day job, his full-time professional job at Industrial Supply as an executive for 37 years, and he recently retired. And when he retired, I said, oh, good. Okay, Sean, you're going to start doing more consulting with me then. And I haven't been able to get any of his time because he keeps doing the work. And the thing about Sean that you will learn, as I observed him and decided, is this somebody that I want to have in my circles? Sean is what I call an inclusionist. So a lot of people in diversity, equity, inclusion think it's about taking sides. But if you watch Sean's an inclusionist. What that means is that Sean advocates for everyone. So that's not just communities here. He'll be supporting all the communities, but it's also our industries, our ecosystem. He'll be serving on the board of our Utah State Higher Ed, and then he'll be serving on the board of a manufacturing association, and then he'll be serving on this other nonprofit over here. And he's serving our entire state in some way in many different forms. It is very tough to do. And one thing that Sean does very well is that he builds bridges. He brings people together. Even if it's a little uncomfortable, that's okay. But he makes change everywhere he goes. Now, when I first started on the board of the National Association of Corporate Directors Utah chapter, I asked the national leaders, what is unique about our Utah chapter? And they said, we're small and mighty. And I love that because I actually think that's Utah. I've been in the ecosystem a long time, and for those of you who've seen diversity, equity, inclusion for decades, we in Utah can make big shifts in a short amount of time because there's something very special about the way we work together, the way we listen to each other, and the way we come together. And Sean knows the secret as well. He's a big fish in a small pond and chooses to use his influence in a way that brings people together. I also appreciate how he does it across sectors, he does it across communities, and he is about bringing everyone together in a way that unifies and doesn't divide. Very difficult to do, but absolutely can be done. The second thing I really appreciate about the National Association of Corporate Directors is, as part of good governance, they have diversity, equity, inclusion embedded in the way you build an organizational strategy. That's something that Sean absolutely believes in. He's been able to work with some of my clients, and it's part of good governance. It's part of making organizations thrive. And of course, there's so many business leaders here in Utah because there's an emphasis on corporate directors, but our nonprofits are intimately connected with our corporate, right? We're an ecosystem. None of us is operating alone by ourselves. So it's important to make this entire ecosystem healthy so that we all can thrive. And Sean has spent his entire life contributing to our ecosystem so that we all can do that. So I want to welcome Sean to the stage. He's very, he's not one to put himself out there, and that's why I nominated him for this award. I couldn't be more proud to have Sean receive this. And do you need help on stage? Because he just had knee surgery as well, so we'll make sure to support him on stage. But he's so busy. I remember somebody saying, how do I get some of Sean's time? I said, well, he just had knee surgery, so now might be a good time to call him because he's home. But we're grateful that he's recovering, and I want to welcome him to the stage. Big hand for Sean Newell.
Good afternoon. I know you just ate, but good afternoon. Wonderful. Yeah, I'm hobbling a little bit. I was a student athlete at the University of Utah, and I left my knee there some time ago, and now I'm paying the price for that. just a little bit. I had a total knee replacement not too long ago, and it's been a great experience, to say the least. I'm really honored. I usually like to lead quietly, and when Sarah told me about this opportunity to be honored, I was a little taken aback because I don't expect these types of things to happen for me. The work that I do is about our communities. It's about the people in our communities. It's about bringing people together and creating bridges. And I live by the motto that we are all leaders. In one shape or form, we are all leaders. We lead our families. We lead our businesses. We lead the entities in which we serve on the boards. And this is critical work. This is important work. There are times when we really don't want to do that, but as leaders and individuals, we hold that responsibility because it takes a village. And I'm a true believer that we are our brother and our sister's keepers. And to do that, we have to be firm in the way that we move forward. I've worked in a number of different entities on the boards and making sure that I provide opportunities to understand how to be more inclusive, providing opportunities for people to understand how to engage one another in ways that they may not be comfortable with, they may not understand, or may not want to. But there's such a treasure and such a blessing in getting to know those that are dislike us, those that are living in different circumstances. We can learn to understand that we are not that different. Because guess what? In this big old pond, and it was said before, there's one world, we're all in this together. And we have to find a way to navigate the spaces in which we exist to become a benefit to one another. And we do that through engagement. This engagement is really critical to us growing as individuals, but it's also serving our communities and serving the people that are in our communities. This includes our young people that are going through our education system. It includes the nurturing of those that are at the entry level of the companies in which we run and which we're a part of, to giving them and showing them opportunities that exist for their personal growth. If we don't illuminate opportunities for those around us, we're doing a disservice to the communities in which we are a part of. So I always charge people to think about how you can better serve. Today, I want to charge you as leaders to go out in your communities, pull yourself into that state of courage, and to be able to step out and meet somebody you've never met before. It can be a neighbor. It could be someone at a store. It could be someone at a gas station. But just introduce yourself. Sometimes it's a little uncomfortable. And sometimes people think you're weird because you walk up to them and go, hey, how you doing? But guess what? 9 times out of 10, you may have made that person's day just from that little bit of engagement. And that's how we build bridges, one brick at a time, one step at a time. We have to be able to get ourselves into that mindset of understanding that we are a community, each and every one of us. We serve not only ourselves, but we serve the members of the communities in which we exist. I spend a lot of time talking to my kids. They don't want to listen to me anymore because they're all grown. So now I talk to my grandkids, and they really don't want to listen to me. They want to know where the candy is. And I'm trying to emphasize to them the importance of giving back. We have one very, very rare tool and rare thing that we can offer people, and that is our time. We are limited in the amount of time each and every one of us has in our lives. It's the exact same for each of us, but the investment, the way that we spend that time, is a critical consideration when we're giving back to our communities. And it's not hard to do it. Sometimes you can overdo it. I overdo it quite a bit in giving my time. But I think it's important because I can't give in all the other ways that giving is possible. And don't think I don't want you to give. Nonprofits, we love you to give. But giving your time is critical as well. And one of the great things about giving your time is you learn about people and you gain greater relationships through that type of engagement. So I charge you today to go out, meet different people, share your time, get to know one another here in this event today, and just get better at building those bridges and being a part of each other's lives, because we are a part of each other's lives. One of the things also that helps drive me is always keeping in mind a quote from Martin Luther King, and I want to try to get it right, is we don't have to always do big things, but we can always do little things great. And if we take those little things that we are able to do in a great way, the impact that it has on our community and the members of our communities is endless. So I want to thank you very much for this honor, and it's great to be here today with you.
Serving on boards, you're meeting with the best people that the community has, and you make these incredible contacts of people that have the same desires and goals that I did to give back to the community. I've served on boards that were more business boards, like chairing the airport authority, and when we brought Delta Airlines to Salt Lake and redid the airport. But I've served 37 years on Intermountain Healthcare and the foundation board, just working with wonderful people that were worried and concerned about healthcare. And of course, I served as chair of the United Way board, and I really enjoyed the good people that work in United Way. And I've chaired the symphony board, and I love the people that love music and love to keep a 52-week orchestra in our community. And so I've had a lot of good experiences serving on boards. I've always tried to give back of my time. This is a great community, and we have remarkable people here that want to help and give back. And if you can join with them and serve with them, it's a highlight of my life. I've been truly blessed. Now I'm 81 years old, and I've served on all the boards, and I've been involved with all the good people in the community, and I can say this is the greatest community to live in, and that we stand on the shoulders of great people that went before us that really did some incredible things.
Please welcome to the stage now Natalie Gochner, Director of the Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute at the University of Utah.
I am so excited to introduce Kim Gardner. Of course, it's my privilege to lead the Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute, and I've decided to share a personal introduction. One of my first memories of Kim was just prior to the 2002 Olympic Winter Games. We were both part of the official delegation that traveled to Olympia, Greece to collect the Olympic flame for the torch relay. This was a big, big moment, right? Our state had been preparing for this for 2 to 3 decades. It was a long journey to the birthplace of the Olympic Games, Olympia, Greece. It was December 3rd, 2001. For those of you that don't know about this ceremony, a high priestess, a woman dressed in traditional Greek clothing, captures the flame actually from the sun and begins a 65-day, 13,500-mile, 46 of 50 states Olympic flame torch relay. The flame, and this is why I'm starting here, besides it was my first memory, symbolizes peace, friendship, tolerance, and hope. So this brings me to my memory of Kim. We were on the bus traveling from Athens to Olympia. People had jet lag. They're looking at the landscape. It was just sort of a little slow, not as lively as we wanted it to be. And of course, Kim knows how to liven up a bus full of people. So he decided to share an Emily Dickinson poem. Those of you that know Kim, this won't surprise you. He had it memorized. And it went something like this. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, a sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in eternity it asked a crumb of me. So this is a brilliant poem where Dickinson takes that feeling of hope and likens it to something physical, tangible. A little bird, a singing bird that sings a message of hope. So the little bird does not communicate directly with us, but rather through a feeling that perches in the soul and propels us forward. The hopeful feeling never stops, but keeps us moving through the storms of life. I really love the message, and I felt like it was an inspired message for the busload of people heading to Olympia, Greece, because the Olympics is all about sharing hope with the world through sport. And Kim breathes hope with every breath. He does it for himself and his family. He does it for the community that he so deeply loves. So really briefly, I want to tell you one other Olympic flame torch relay story, because it reminds me of Kim as well. You could ask, why is fire on a stick such a big deal? Why do people come and line the streets to see fire and a stick go by? And you can imagine that in a relay that long, that sometimes there's some gaps, where you thought you had the people to run the relay, but it didn't turn out. And the protocol that they used in the 2002 games is they would go to a nearby school and seek a volunteer who could run the gap in the relay. I'm aware of a story where they went to a school and asked a school teacher, who should we ask to participate in the race? And the school teacher said, I know just the boy. He's an undersized fifth grader. He doesn't talk much. So they got the boy, put him in the white warm-up suits with the Olympic logos. He ran his part of the relay. People cheered him on. A really beautiful and hopeful experience. And later, when asked about the boy, the teacher said, he doesn't sit alone anymore. Okay, so this reminds me of Kim, right? Because he has this big, big heart that exudes hope, that makes people better, that lifts the community. And so I'm going to introduce Kim by saying that, like the Olympic flame, he symbolizes the peace of brotherly and sisterly love, the friendship of taking care of a stranger, the tolerance of understanding people with different life experiences, and most of all, the hope that is freely given and always with us, just like the Emily Dickinson poem and like Kim Gardner's Big Heart. It's my pleasure to introduce one of the Intermountain West's most prominent real estate developers, and most importantly, a person who brings greater hope to the world, Kim Gardner.
It's an honor to have Natalie introduce me. She's the North Star for our community that always keeps us pointed in the right direction. We are so fortunate to have her. I also want to thank Deborah, who taught me everything I should know about boards, serving with United Way. I also want to mention that I drove my electric car here today. I also want to mention that while I've been playing in the community for years, Carolyn raised 6 children and 30 grandchildren, and she's here today. And I have appreciated I've appreciated so much being able to give time as well as some resources to the community. This is an amazing place to live and work and have a family. There's a culture of charity, civic pride, and community engagement that exists here, unmatched by any other place. We have so many good people that help and give back and serve. And I reflect, and I know our time's up, but I reflect on what it means that years ago in '76 we started that first terminal and now have this amazing airport, a hub that is incredible. And I think about this 52-week orchestra that we started at Symphony Hall and put a gold leaf to make it really special. That was Obert, who said if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. And now this symphony is one of the top orchestras in the country. And I think about how important that is for our arts. And then I think about the church giving, the LDS Church gave its hospital system to the communities it served, and they put together a board to guide it, and what has become of Intermountain Healthcare over these remarkable years that has helped us in so many ways in our community. And of course, I always think about Deborah and United Way, and I think about the other experiences that I've had in education as well, because I think about the university. My son Christian now chairs the trustees. Can you imagine that we're on our way to becoming one of the 10 top public universities in the country? That just last year we raised over $3 billion for that university, and we just negotiated a deal to get Fort Douglas for the university. All these things are happening in the community, and it's really remarkable. And we've got families that are helping with health care and in mental health. And we have families that want to bring us a baseball team that I am really excited about and trying to help on. We need a Major League Baseball team. But all of these things happen because of good people in our community that reach out and make them happen. And I feel really embarrassed today because I don't even have a board. And Christians, my son's been trying to get us to have a board. Well, I don't want people telling me what to do and how to spend my money. He keeps saying we need a foundation. I said, well, I don't need anybody to tell me. Anyway, I know our time's up. But I've appreciated learning from these other folks here today. They're remarkable, and they do so much good in the community. And I'm very just grateful that I've been able to play a role. And I want to thank Utah Business for writing my obituary. I appreciate that they got this beautiful picture that I can use with it. and just thank you all very much for being so kind to me. Thank you. Carolyn said, whatever else you do, don't talk about the rodeo and tell them the joke about the cross-eyed bull. So I'm not.
Well, we've all been taught so well today and reminded of the wonderful place in which we live. Just as a reminder, parking is paid for, and you should have received a voucher when you came in, and if you did not get one, please go to the registration desk and receive one. You may have noticed the QR code on your table. As an attendee at today's luncheon, Utah Business is offering a complimentary year subscription to the monthly publication, so please scan that QR code. The videos of our honorees, along with the entire event, will be posted to the Utah Business website very shortly. You are all welcome to share this with family, friends, and coworkers. And finally, one more housekeeping item. We like to recycle those name tags, so please either leave them on the table or at the registration desk. Thank you so much for being here this afternoon. Congratulations to our 2023 honorees.